Welcome to Watchbox Studios. I am your host, Tim Mosso, and this is Watches Tonight. We took a week break, but we are back for the attack. Talking about Only Watch, the next Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Jumbo, and superior $10,000 watches, ones that I like and am willing to recommend. So, all of that, and I share viewer wrist shots tonight on Watches Tonight. We've got Edward Ledden of Sweden, Blue Shirt Buddha, Ethan Davis, watching watches, joining us from Frankfurt, the home of Zinn. We've got Joe Pinto from Louisville, Kentucky. Alex O's in the box, Enrique Cassiano. We've got Mez 9, Nolan Reed, Christian F, Adam Crossfire, 121 Click Bezel, one too many, Horatio Hale Bop, Greg E, Abdul, and by the way, Greg joining us from Abington, Pennsylvania, a local man in Keystar G60 up in New England where I went to college. Welcome all. Remember to check out thewatchbox.com, redesigned with over 3,000 vintage and pre-owned watches alive right now. You might like the big group brands. I happen to like the indies. We've got all of them at every price. Check out thewatchbox.com. Okay, a quick thought while we gather, and I usually leave a little bit more time for people to file in at the beginning of these shows, but I was asked why pocket watches don't make a comeback. And it's an interesting question because I'm sort of at the beginning of watchmaking training and I mostly work on pocket watches, which means I see a lot of them and I have an affection for them, but most people don't. And here's the thing, the big problem is fragility. Most pocket watches that are out there are old pocket watches. Now that's great for me because you can buy an old Illinois or Hamilton or Waltham for a few $100, basically the cost of a strap. The problem though is that we're talking about things that are not anti-magnetic, that are not shock protected, that have no kind of water resistance, and they don't like to share a pocket with the kind of flotsam and jetsam that modern man carries, including pocket knives, keychains, keys, various pass tags, and change. All of these things will gouge up a pocket watch fast before we even get into the water resistance, the magnetism, and the shock. So they're very delicate. A lot of them have actual glass crystals, and the movements, of course, are antiques, so they're even more fragile than when they were new. So fragility is a big thing. Yes, you can buy a new pocket watch, and yes, Patek will sell you an example like the 973, but they are rare. So fragility is a big reason why people do not buy pocket watches today. Selection is also an issue. Most of the brands that are out there are very defunct. And that's one of the problems. Yes, there are Patek pocket watches and IWC pocket watches, and if you look closely, you can even find older Rolex pocket watches, but there are not a whole lot of modern options if you want to go that route. All of them are very old, with an E at the end, which is to say they appeal to a sensibility that would also wear Argyle, for example. Now, let's talk about the lack of pockets. If you look at what I'm wearing today, this is actually dressing up from my usual standard. A lot of folks my age aren't constantly clad in jackets. So when we have pockets, they are pants pockets. And those are simply not compatible with delicate devices. And they can be a little bit tight, making it difficult to dramatically withdraw your watch for the set piece moment when your friends are looking. Finally, there is the limited functions and complications problem. Once you start complicating pocket watches, they get very expensive very fast. And that's not to say wristwatches don't, it's just to say most of the complicated pocket watches are very old and they cost significantly more than the standard time-only models, which means you have to make a big commitment to pocket watches to get into the type of chronographs and calendars that people really enjoy today, to say nothing of dual times. So most folks won't buy a standard pocket watch, much less spend thousands or tens of thousands to get one that has even the functions you would expect from a Rolex GMT-Master. So, jumping into the box right here, Richard Combs joining from South Florida. We've got Dr. TikTok, also from Florida. Time Hill saying he loves Hamilton and Ball. We got some fans of pocket watches and traditional brands there. Addie Myers joining in saying, hi Adrian from Yorkshire, UK, Thomas Burnett, Mick in Florida, Time Hill, Abdul from Germany, and Adam Crossfire saying best way to get a pocket watch these days, the Longines Avigation A7 1935 pocket watch style wristwatch convenience. And Rick on Watch is joining us from Wisconsin. Okay guys, so let's talk a little bit about viewer wrist shots, because I asked and you answered and here you are. Yours on mine, starting with Marcus of Germany, showcasing his Louis Ulysse Chopard Flying T Art in Time limited piece. And by that I mean piece unique. Greg E. showcases his watchbox bought H. Moser & C. Pioneers center seconds. Thank you for trusting our company. Samo hits the road with a shot of his Breguet Type 21 flyback chrono and Porsche rolling in style. Tom B. rolls in style likewise with his Bentley Continental GT and Tudor Blancpain 58 navy blue. Steve A., a local boy of Pennsylvania and a man after my own heart in the watchmaking heartland of America, driving an American-made 2019 Corvette Z06 with a Seamaster Diver 300 meter, and Peter C. owns them all with his Corvette C8 and Audemars Piguet Royal Oak 15500, the latest. Send your wrist shots to Monday Mailbag at thewatchbox.com to see your wrist on my list. We got a good morning from Yasis J joining in. Nate B shouting out. Tim Curley, haha, superior donuts. You noticed. In good taste, figuratively and literally. And then right here, Edward Ledden saying, can't get enough of Bentley. My good friend Drew Koblitz and I are going to be launching a car-themed podcast, so stay tuned for that and let me know what you want to hear in the discussion below this video. Okay, now, only watch standouts. Here are some of my favorites. Every 2 years, we have a auction in which brands will offer a piece unique, the only watch of its kind, to benefit research into Duchenne muscular dystrophy. This year's Only Watch features a spectacular array. Here's my pick of the litter based on what I would actually want to own. Starting with the Bulgari Octofinissimo Perpetual Tantalum. Based on this year's 40mm by 5.8mm thick Octofinissimo automatic perpetual calendar, it is still 5.8mm thick, which is to say it's not thick at all. And it's powered by the micro rotor caliber BVL 305. The entire thing unique for Only Watch with a blue sunburst dial, blue-gray tantalum case, and a gorgeous movement. All of this made in-house by Bulgari. Very handsome. One of the best watches of the year gets better in a form that I could bid on in clear conscience, sacrificing some hypothetical future Mosso's college fund in the meantime. Tudor Blancpain GMT-1 adds grit, grime, and some weathering as they first applied a DLC and then they burnished it, but they added detail on the bezel and the dial to make this a fully realized vision of a very weathered modern piece unique. A lovely look, as Tudor is supposed to be the vintage look made new. The look of a weathered and worn watch fits this particular aesthetic perfectly. My personal favorite watch in the show, if I had to rob a bank to buy a watch for Only Watch, and it's a good cause, so the bad is counterweighted by the good. I'm morally neutral there. Rob a bank to buy the ADC 21 from Spanish brand Atelier de Chronometrie, a special realization of a 1950s Patek Philippe tribute. You can see the lines of the 2512 there, although this is 37mm, so much smaller. A mid-century take with a pink-on-pink aesthetic built upon a lovely no-date sector dial. This is a watch that is based on Atelier de Chronometrie's philosophy of taking an historic new old stock movement and then finishing it in Baroque modern high horology fashion. Here, lead watchmaker Mobius Rossmann is creating a take on the Omega Caliber 283, and you could see this is not what the mid-century Omega Observatory Trials chronometer movement looks like when it originally left Bienne. Incredible things being done in Barcelona by Atelier de Chronometrie, and this is perhaps their best work yet. If I could own just one watch, like I said, rob a bank, as they say, if you rob the bank, you better buy something just with it. Well, I would be buying this. It benefits muscular dystrophy research. The two wrongs, the right, the up, the down, in the end, it's all in the middle, neutral and on my wrist. Now, let's talk about the Gerard Perregaux Casquette. So after my dalliance with sin, here's a watch that I would buy with my own money rather than robbing a bank. A very cool collaboration with Bamford. This is in my opinion, a preview of a production model from Gerard Perregaux. A quick look back, the Gerard Perregaux Casquette, referenced 9931, came out in 1976 with a Gerard Perregaux in-house caliber, a 395 quartz movement. GP was a pioneer in quartz, and so the original watch was considered to be a driver's watch, much like the contemporary but far cheaper Amida Digitrend. The original would have been available in gold, steel, or a material called macrolon, which was basically plastic. It was a polymer. This one is in titanium and forged carbon, and I really do think the watch, which is 42.4 by 33.6 millimeters and less than 11 millimeters thick, is a preview of something we're going to be able to buy in series. It has 2 time zones, a chronograph, and a calendar, so it is a multifunction luxury quartz watch, and it benefits a good cause. I also think that if you're patient, you're going to be able to buy this watch for a heck of a lot less money as a production piece from GP. Now, Baltic. This is a brand we haven't discussed on the show, but we probably should have, because they make handsome, evocative watches at reasonable prices. So this watch right here is the Pulsometer Mono Pusher, 36 millimeters with an upgraded Venus 150 new old stock movement. So if we can jump back to that dial real quick, you can see it's a little bit of a Patek 5070 homage, well done and in good taste. Remember, this is 36 millimeters, so the size is right. 5070 is 42 millimeters, so it looks great. It looks the part, and of course with a Venus 150, they're taking an historic movement, a little bit like Atelier de Chronometrie, but they're finishing it to a high standard, just not eye-bleedingly gorgeous. This is really good, whereas ADC is absolutely achingly attractive. But this is a great watch to own because of the size and the combination of dial, movement, and versatile aesthetic. In steel, you can wear this with anything on any wrist, male or female. It's a unisex option, and there aren't a whole lot of options of which you can say all of the above. Now, Audemars Piguet. This is probably the best known 2021 only watch that doesn't include an ugly blue gauntlet on the dial. A lovely combination, ending the 15202 line. It's true, this year is supposed to be the end of the 21-year run of the reference 15202 Jumbo. It does not mean the end of the Jumbo, it just means that this current configuration, movement, case, and paradigm will change and there will be a rebirth. But the watch that gives it its send-off here is gorgeous. Everything that's polished is what they call bulk metal glass, which is hallmarked PD500 as it is primarily a palladium alloy. Lovely, polished, reflective, and highly scratch tolerant. It is a precious metal. The rest of the watch, case and links, is media blasted grade 5 titanium, looking absolutely sharp with a pantograph cut nickel anthracite gray hobnail tapisserie dial. I love everything about this watch, but it is the end of the line for the 15202 and, sadly from what I understand, the JLC 920 based caliber 2121. Now, while I have said I will only rob a bank to own one watch in this collection, and it's the ADC 21. This is still a watch that I think is historically important in a way almost no 15202 ever will be, because it is truly the last of the line and a piece unique. So, wrist shots number 2, and then we're going to talk a bit more about this new Audemars Piguet. We're starting with Roger A. Roger A. is taking delivery of a gorgeous Silver Snoopy 50th anniversary. You might have seen my new high-feature review on Watchbox Reviews or Watchbox Studios, but I did an in-depth collector guide on the Silver Snoopy 3. You're going to want to check that out. Also, Simon H. with his Watchbox bought Yachtmaster, enjoying prime rib in Napa, California. Looking good, and thank you for trusting our company, Simon. Wyatt entrusts his Blancpain GMT to Ilan the guinea pig, because where's the guinea pig going to go with it? I have qualms about people putting watches on the paws of their dog or the arms of their cat. Here, I have absolutely no fear that this watch sits in peril. Ilan the guinea pig, you're all right by me. We have Zheng Wanel ready for Wimbledon with his white gold Rolex Date 840 green dial and BMW. That is a way to travel with smiles and style. Alec T and his Grand Reverso Extra Thin tribute to 1931 hit the gym for a workout. Looking good. It was originally a sports watch back in 1931. Not quite the gym watch I would choose, but you're always in high style when you're wearing a Reverso. And Michael C shows excellent taste in Scotch watches and Facebook groups. Guys, join me on Talking Time with Tim Mosso. It's my Facebook group. I created it specifically so I can communicate with my fans around the world when I'm not live here on this show. We have over, I believe, 4,600 members now, gaining about 100 per week. I do a live chat every Wednesday at about 5 p.m. U.S. Eastern, and I did 2 of them last week when I was out of the office, so sometimes you get even more FaceTime than you bargained for. That is Talking Time with Tim Mosso. Let's see what Thomas Burnett's saying right here. We need to see some more like the remastered 01 from Audemars Piguet. That was a modern movement in a modern watch that evokes the vintage spirit of 1950s Audemars Piguet chronographs. Right here we have lots of friends joining in, from Mark P. to Blue Shirt Buddha to Time Hill, saying kind of sad about the 15202. I hope that the next Jumbo is a better watch. Frankly, it's okay to update a classic as long as you don't make it cheaper. That has happened both with the 15202 and the 5711 over the years. So let's hope that we are going to see a big upgrade in the Jumbo, and the next one is going to be dazzling and exceed our expectations and look rather less intended for mass production than the current model. Right here, Double R asking, do you guys have any Oyster quartz in stock? We often do. Check out the Rolex page on the watchbox.com or just search Oyster quartz. You can also search by reference number on the watchbox.com. We've got Yoon Jun Peck joining in. Welcome, guys who are joining in just now. We're going to be talking about the next Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Jumbo. And then we got Kaz O joining in from Florida. Watch Medicine saying, now tribute to 1931 gym workout is the ultimate flex, pun intended. And then Watch Cardinal, weekly reminder, we want to see a Rolex on Tim Mosso's wrist, and I'm going to tell you 3 Rolex watches you can put on your wrist or mine for less than 10 grand later in the show. What else is going on in the box? We got Geezer asking, Tim, is the 5168G your favorite sports Patek? Still your favorite sports Patek? In green, it is hard to beat. There aren't a whole lot of Patek watches that I would call a sports watch. There is a green steel 5167A Aquanaut, and then there's the 5168G, also green but bigger and in white gold. So I'm going to say, yeah, that remains my favorite sporting Patek Philippe, though if you want to stick with my all-time favorite Patek, it remains, among all options, the 5235G regulator, and in a pinch, if I had unlimited money, I'd probably put the 5207P and the 5016P up there as well. We have a question. What are your thoughts on the Timepiece Gentleman? I spend no time thinking about the Timepiece Gentleman. What else is going on in the box? A Mick in Florida saying we need a Tim Mosso Florida group. At the very least, we can do a Tim Mosso Florida meetup, as I will be heading down there later this summer to visit my good friend Josh Thanos, as well as my dad, who lives in Palm Beach. Okay, guys, let's talk about our regularly scheduled program, jumping back to the Royal Oak. First, what I want to see on what will presumably be the 2022 Royal Oak Jumbo. I don't know what the reference is going to be, and I don't know that it's going to be a 2022 watch. It's possible that AP decides to wait a year or 2 years. They're independent, they have that kind of flexibility, and they don't need the orders. But I would like to see a couple of features, starting with a monoblock case. Here's the thing. The original Gerald Genta designed and patented 5402 Royal Oak in 1972 had a monoblock case. That is, the case and the case back were one piece milled from the solid. And that continued into the present day until 2017, when AP covertly made the 15202 cheaper and easier to mass produce. They went with a bezel, a mid case, and then a separate case back. The things all fit together quite closely, so it wasn't immediately apparent, but after some research and experience with warranty cards and first-hand examination, I believe 2017 was the year AP made their famous watch cheaper. I would like to see that reversed, go back to a monoblock for the next generation. I would like to see a ceramic option. In 2017, we got the Royal Oak black ceramic perpetual calendar. A few years later, we got a skeleton version. Just this year, and this is brand new, we got a 34mm version of the Royal Oak Automatic in black ceramic. Whether it's gray, black, blue, or white, I want to see a 39mm jumbo with the ceramic option, because the worst thing about every Royal Oak is how quickly and hideously they scar. With ceramic, not a problem. Tantalum. Rarely used, but exquisitely on the Royal Oaks. We've got the championship model from 1990 right there. Now, that was a relatively small watch and quartz, but it introduced tantalum. There are also 14790 two-tone models with tantalum, and of course, the Royal Oak Leo Messi, in one of its variants, used tantalum. I would like to see tantalum make a comeback. Not everyone is into steel, rose, or yellow gold two-tone, but a lot of folks would be into tantalum titanium or tantalum steel, and I am all about options like that. They're beautiful, they're unconventional, and they represent territory that the Royal Oak has rarely visited. And with so many past variants, it's always nice to have something that's refreshingly rare. Tantalum is that, please. Even if it's a limited edition, AP, make that an option. Now, what could possibly replace the JLC-based caliber 2121? It's been with the Royal Oak since the beginning, and it's one of the primary reasons I've often described the 15202 as a modern update of the 1972 original, a living fossil, so to speak, a coelacanth on your wrist, whereas the 5711 from Patek is nothing like the original 3700, mostly thanks to the movement and the long-running monoblock case. The 15202 was a lot like an updated version of the 72 watch. If we're getting rid of that movement with all of its historical significance and artisanal beauty, give us something spectacular. Not another version of the 4302. Give us a peripheral rotor movement, AP. We know you've done it because you did it about 9 years back with the caliber 2897, which was a large peripheral rotor movement in a Royal Oak offshore chronograph. Here's the thing. That movement won't fit in a 39mm jumbo. It's far too large. But if you've made one peripheral rotor, you can make another, and you can make it fit. A big, open, beautifully finished caseback, unmarred by the presence of a central rotor. We deserve that much, and we deserve something that is smart, super thin, and upholds the high horology tradition of the 2121. If you're going to retire the all-time great, give us something that is truly special and unique in the steel integrated bracelet sports watch class. That would be a peripheral rotor. If you can do it on the offshore, you can do it on the jumbo, and of course Vacheron does it on all of the overseas. AP, please give us a quick release bracelet with 2 accessory straps. Give me the quick release system so I don't need tools to swap, full bracelet, rubber strap, leather strap, all standard on the steel watch. Please make it happen. If you haven't locked in the design of the next generation jumbo, or even if you have, this is a feature that's becoming increasingly expected in the sports watch class, and you've already done it on the 43mm offshore for 2021, so please do it on the jumbo for 2022. I would also say realistically, we need swimmable water resistance. We start talking about the jumbo as a dress watch these days. Pressed down crown with 50-meter water resistance, I'm sorry, but I don't feel confident taking that swimming. Not at $28,900. We need at least the screw-down crown that you get on the 15500, preferably a screw-down crown with 100-meter water resistance. If Hublot can do it, please, AP, don't tell me you can't. And finally, let's make this a watch that people can get. And I don't mean make it cheap, and I don't mean make it common, but AP, you've been telling us that being independent lets you do things differently, and not just differently, but better. That because you're family owned and run, you have more soul. So give something back to the watch collector fraternity and the community that has made the Royal Oak a phenomenon. Give out half based on seniority and dealer preference, but then throw 50% of the watches each year of new jumbo production into some kind of a lottery. So people who haven't bought 6 gold watches at the dealer, aren't on a first-name basis with the dealer, and haven't been flown to Les Brassus to collect their grand complication, can still have a hope of getting the nod, the phone call, and being able to buy this watch at retail at an AP dealer. Show us you still got some soul, AP. Give half of the buyers the opportunity to win the purchase option by lottery rather than seniority preference. All right, jumping into the box, Abdul is saying, please, for the next jumbo, 100-meter water resistance at least. Karate Chop saying, among others, that's probably too much to ask from AP. We have a Monk 93 joining from Lincoln, Nebraska. We have Adolf, who's saying AP is not his favorite brand. And then we have Brit Swiss asking, please bring back customizable hand-engraved rotors on the jumbo. Before 2012, you used to be able to get custom engraved rotors on the 15202, less so after 2012. Can't really do that with a peripheral rotor, but if we get some sort of center rotor, yes, I agree, we should bring that back. You should be able to get no extra cost engraving on your jumbo rotor. What else is going on? Thomas Burnett saying tantalum is an interesting option. Dr. Stu saying what I want to see from AP is any availability. Doesn't matter what they do if you can never get one. And that's a good point. That's why I think half of the jumbos should be allocated by some sort of a lottery, so people can actually buy their first Audemars Piguet, make it a jumbo, and not wait years to do so. And we have Nathan Silva saying, I would love to see a 37mm ceramic, or at the very least a return of maybe a 14790 type watch. I mean, if we've got the 450 at 37mm, let's just get a 15450 in ceramic and call it a day. I think everyone would be happy with that. That's a great suggestion, Nathan. And then we have Tim S. asking, what's your opinion on the discontinuation of the Colt line? I've long thought that there's just too much overlap between the Super Oceans and the Colts, so it's not really something I'm going to miss. They're good watches, but they'll be available forever pre-owned. And given that this is Breitling, there's probably going to be stock to buy for years on end, including, in all likelihood, some on the gray market. So, you know, if you're a devotee of the Colt, unfortunate, but I do think there was a lot of redundancy in the Breitling model lines, and I think Colt Super Ocean was a big one. Way too much overlap. And then right here, we've got Thomas Burnett saying, correct, Abdul, the big boys should have to enter the raffle too. And then Aunt G, Tim, do you see the 15300 being as collectible as the 15202? The 15300 had a pretty short run. It was only made from about 2007 to 2011 and then tailed off in 2012 when the 15450 arrived. When the 15400 arrived. You know, I think the old 39mm auto that wasn't the jumbo is a pretty cool watch, but because it's not the jumbo, I don't think it will ever be worth as much as any jumbo. I think it'll be a collectible watch and definitely one for the AP purist who prefers the 39, but I don't think it will be more collectible than the jumbo any more than I think any given Aquanaut's going to be more collectible than a Nautilus. All right, what's going on here? Eric Nielsen saying, to their credit, AP makes their customer preference order relatively clear rather than letting ADs directly set the preference. Okay, good stuff. Now let's talk about viewer wrist shots, because I asked and you answered. Anthony T is celebrating Independence Day and his birthday with Omega and a barbecue. Looking good with the Seamaster Diver 300 meter. Philip M is on vacation in sunny Spain with his Omega Seamaster Aquaterra. Mohammed A is at the Dubai airport with the PAM 1392, which is his first fine watch to celebrate a life milestone. Congratulations, Mohammed. Abdul R ranges across the German countryside with his new Casio GA2100. Cassioke skeleton, looking good, and nice photo. We have Russ A celebrating America's birthday at Independence Lake with his Seiko SKX A35. Guys, send your wrist shots. Watches of any price, status, or stature to mondaymailbag@thewatchbox.com. All right, now we are talking about $10,000 watches I love. $10,000 or less. All of these watches fit the definition, starting with 3 Rolex options available instantly, because you always ask first and loudest, what about Rolex? And I know a lot of you guys are waiting for me to say Rolex, so here it comes. First, prices for the current 41mm Oyster Perpetual are reaching insanity. That's just nuts. But the OP39, reference 114300, had a relatively short run from 2015 to 2020, meaning it's fairly rare and, as steel sports watches from Rolex go, fairly available with future collectability. Now, they're interesting watches, now available for under $10,000, and you can see plenty of options, whether you want the dark rhodium gray, the bright blue, or the red grape. Red grape would be my choice. Under 10 grand, you will have plenty of selection and real inventory too, not stock photos like with a lot of OP41s you see for sale online. That's a great option. Again, the 39 had a pretty short run, making it collectible, but not yet so expensive or collectible that you have to be afraid of wearing it. There's the Milgauss, the Rolex Milgauss, the current model on the market since 2007. Selection likewise is good with real inventory available. This is an $8,300 watch. All versions of the current model can be found for well under $10,000. You're going to pay a little bit of a premium for a green crystal or Z blue dial, but as you can see, prices are pretty reflective of what the watch costs new, so between $8,000 and $9,000 for most versions used. Great options, 40 millimeters, highly anti-magnetic, so there's an element of practicality there and a little bit offbeat if you don't want to be that guy with a Sub, a GMT, or a Daytona. Finally, if you want something mechanically identical, the exact same size as the Milgauss, but with a different, even quirkier look, check out the current 40 millimeter Air King, the 116900. This is a watch launched at Basel 2016 that everyone immediately thought was one of the weirdest Rolex dials of our time. Yes, even in the era of the Z Blue. Technically, it's an Explorer dial. If you look closely enough, you've got the white gold Arabic numerals at 3, 6, and 9. And then you have an all-Arabic calibration with black, white, yellow, and green that's designed to look like the dashboard instruments that Rolex created for the Bloodhound supersonic car. The car never happened, meaning this is about as far as the project ever got immortalized on a Rolex dial. This is an awesome watch. It costs $6,450 new, but you can buy one new between $7,000 and $8,500 right now, meaning good selection. Buy and take immediate delivery. They're available at Rolex dealers, so whether you buy the Milgauss or the Air King new or used, you're going to get it relatively quickly at a fair price, always under $10,000. These are your Rolex options at or below $10,000. There are more. There are OP36s, there are OP34s, and if you look carefully, you can still find Cellini Princes for under 10 grand, which is a monstrous watch to get for $10,000 when you consider that original retail more than half a decade ago was almost twice that. Display casebacks, custom movements, gorgeous bespoke dials. Those are some of the best Rolex watches made, so I want to throw that out there. If you look carefully, you can still find a colored gold or white gold Cellini Prince. Now let's go up market, talking about high horology available for Rolex money. The Blancpain bathyscaphe. This would be my choice, and get it in gray ceramic. That model came out in 2016, as you see it right there, scratch-proof, water resistant to 300 meters, equipped with an artisanally finished 5-day automatic movement built specifically for the 50 Fathom series. This is a glorious watch, a nice change of pace from the usual suspects in the dive watch category, and it's more artisanally finished on its reverse side than that other famous extreme dive watch from Les Brassus made by Audemars Piguet. So this is a watch that's gorgeous on the back, technically proficient, rare, and almost impossible to scratch. I adore it. Figure on the bathies, all of them really, whether steel or ceramic, including with bracelet, you're going to find them from $7,000 to $10,000 used, and you will have many options. Okay, sticking within the Swatch group in their luxury, or I should say high horology brands, Breguet. A little bit smaller, 39 millimeters here, the long-running and much-loved Breguet Marine Big Date. When these died out in 2018, I think there was a small but vocal group of fans who loved these things and really lamented their passing. The good thing is watches live forever, and pre-owned you can always go out and get one. 39 millimeters with a solid gold dial turned on a rose lathe. That's real hand guilloche with welded lug construction, hand-finished cases, and a glorious hand-finished movement. Extended power reserve, 100-meter water resistance, fully loomed, very Breguet. We're talking Patek Philippe level sports watches for 10 grand. Not a whole lot under 10 grand, but right around 10. You will find some beneath. This is a great buy if you want Aquanaut, Royal Oak, or Nautilus quality for a fraction, and I mean like 1/10 of the price at this point with 5711s. Now, viewer wrist shots, I asked, you answered once more. We're going to the well. Jens E. of Berlin, our friend in Germany, kicks back with the Tudor Black Bay chronograph and some choice tobacco. That's a nice wrist shot there, an action shot. Alex O takes the plunge with my personal favorite, the JLC Master Compressor Memovox, and you can see he's got flippers in the background. He's serious about this. I've often said that is the best one watch to own if you're going to only own one watch. A great brand, water resistant, a diver, and an alarm. Super practical, 41.5 millimeters, very wearable. Miguel S. of San Juan rolls with his 6-digit Rolex Submariner date LV. That's the Hulk in his Lincoln. Looking good, Miguel. Jeb B and his Rolex Explorer 2 Polar are on an outdoor adventure, nicely photographed in Denali National Park. Parth D and his Seiko SKX are going to take us home diving rather than driving, but we're kind of blending the two together. In Cancun, Mexico, we have a sunken new Beetle and Seiko SKX diver. Guys, send your wrist shots to mondaymailbag@thewatchbox.com. Okay, talking about $10,000 watches that I think are a great buy right now, we have to talk about high horology now, and the Bulgari Octo Finissimo Automatic. Now, this watch only came out in titanium form in 2017, so we're looking at a small but developing market. There's not a whole lot of inventory out there, but you can still find the steel watch, which is actually newer and 100-meter water resistant. You can find that for around $10,000. Now, the titanium watch new is $14,300. The steel watch is $12,000. So used versions of the steel watch, the water resistant one, are now right around $10,000 with original box and papers and warranty remaining. So this is a really good buy. Bulgari now makes dials, cases, bracelets, clasps, and movements. And the finishing is truly high horology. They're making every part of the watch and they're doing it beautifully. Piaget. Okay, you're burned out on Rolex, Omega, and Breitling. Well, we're going to bin Patek, AP, and Vacheron too. Go with a high horology brand from Coto Fay, and this is possibly the coolest sports watch of the last 20 years if you have an offbeat sensibility, because you are getting a lot right here. With the Polo 45, this was a 2009 SIHH launch, 45 millimeters by only 12.3 millimeters thick. It's a thin multi-complication, titanium construction, a true polo-styled gadroon case, 100-meter water resistance, a push-button 24-hour GMT second time zone, really good looking, a flyback chronograph, a 50-hour automatic winding power reserve, all of this with a clasp that includes double micro adjusts, a high horology brand with real pedigree making the watch in its entirety, and a great online community, and you're getting a watch for around 10 grand that was once a $19,000 new watch in the same price class as a Royal Oak offshore. This is a genuinely impressive depreciation buy from a great brand that has Richemont money to ensure it will be around forever to service your high horology multi-complication. That is a very cool sleeper offbeat pick. Now, big brands again, Omega, but one of my favorites, and not a Speedmaster, not a Seamaster, the Hour Vision annual calendar. 41 millimeters in steel, 100 meters water resistant, more versatile than you would expect from a dress watch. It's an annual calendar, an automatic. It is a coaxial and it is a chronometer, anti-magnetic with a silicone hairspring. We are stacking up the features here. Now, these are watches that sell for new, if you can still find them, $10,600. I've seen them for half that pre-owned, but there is a broad price spread on this model, so you'll see it anywhere from like $5,500 to $8 grand. Figure that the best ones with box and paper are going to be somewhere between $6,500 and $7,500, but you are getting a truly impressive complication from Omega, which has no Rolex equivalent. There is no Rolex annual calendar of this size and price point. If you want a Rolex annual, you've got to step all the way up to the Sky Dweller. So this is a very cool piece that even in the Omega catalog looks like nothing else. Honestly, in person, on the wrist and in the hand, this looks like a $20,000 watch. Finally, an old favorite of mine and a favorite of the house, the IWC Da Vinci Perpetual Calendar. It's a lot more than a perpetual calendar. Launched in 1985, it combined the design by Hanno Bircher with the perpetual calendar by Kurt Klaus. It is a mechanically programmed, quick-set, crown-adjusted perpetual calendar. It has an aventurine moon phase disc, 39 millimeters with Vendome hinged lugs. It wears beautifully on a smaller wrist. This is the reference 3750, and in stainless steel, it is one heck of a buy. Automatic winding, a moon phase, perpetual calendar, and a chronograph. It is all of the above, with a lovely spirit of the 80s look on the wrist. Is it a little bit dated? Yes, it's a lot a bit dated, but that's the kind of thing that comes back into fashion and looks very cool in counterculture, because you're not the latest guy in the office to show up with a new Rolex. A great buy at around $10,000. They are still priced at or around $10,000. So there are buys out there between $7 and $9 grand, and I definitely recommend you make that purchase. Jumping into the box right here, see what you guys are saying. Okay, so Steve, Tim, is the Zinn your only watch these days? It's the watch that I wear most often, but yeah, it is my only watch in daily rotation. I still have my graduation Omega Seamaster, my grandpa's Omega Seamaster DeVille, a Accutron Space View that I bought when I got my first job, a couple of swatches from my mom, and a pocket watch from Illinois, a defunct American brand that I just bought. I'll bring that on the next show. Looking for my next watch, I'm always in the market, but it's got to be something that really captures my heart, because that's going to be a big commitment, and I'm simultaneously always in the market for some sort of collector car, so it's got to steal my affections from that as well. What else is going on? We've got a Mick in Florida saying, yeah, agree, the hair is good. Do you mean this hair? If so, I'm honored. What else is going on in the box? We have Eric Nielsen saying, movie connection. George Clooney wears an Hour Vision in the Up in the Air movie. That was a good movie, and I saw it, and I guess it was in another lifetime because I missed the Omega, but good movie, good watch, good actor. Endorsement all around. We've got Just James saying Chopard LUXPS, buy one cheap, hold on for life, and you've got a lovely watch. That's good gouge, as we used to say in the Navy. Dr. Stu opining, love the Octo Finissimo Tato Ondo with blue dial and yellow moon, but 10K, not under 10K, over 10K. The Tato Ondos have been very attractive Octo Finissimos. What else is going on in the box? You guys, I want you to sound off. Abdul R saying that Piaget is too asymmetrical for my taste, but the specs are amazing. And then John Doe, stop, no more about the Piaget Polo 45. I want to buy one and prices are creeping up now. I can't control the market like that. You're flattering me if you think there's a Tim Mosso effect. And then right here, Enrique C saying, really good looking, debatable, Tim, laugh out loud. And then Brit Swiss saying, Explorer 2 wearers or discerning watch lovers, respect. You know, guys, I am a huge fan of all watches. That's why I feature all watch brands. Time Hill would love to see my new Illinois pocket watch. It is a bun model, 19 jewels, 60-hour mainspring. And then ACTC, thoughts on the Blancpain 58 bronze. Good looking watch, but I prefer the Blancpain 58 in sterling silver. I'm sorry, but that's the Tudor watch of the year. Nothing else is going to compete right there. And then we've got 108 Apollo, cars over watches always. That's long been where my heart lies. I don't know if that's going to be how it works out, but right now I'm leaning in that direction. All right, guys. Send your wrist shots to mondaymailbag@thewatchbox.com to see your analog on my digital. Remember, check out Talking Time with Tim Mosso. It's my Facebook group. We're always doing special features, live chats. When I'm not here on YouTube, I always do a makeup live chat on Facebook. And there are a lot of cool and fun people. I also produce original content and exclusives for the channels. So if you like my wrist reviews and interviews, you're going to find more of them there. I want to shout out to Sean, who keeps everything running even when there's a thunderstorm outside and fringy internet here in the office. Thanks to all of you who make the best job in the world possible. Looking forward to hearing your feedback on my only watch picks. Until then, time out, Tim out, and thanks for logging on.